Rick, it's funny. The other day I said something that, my daughter's like, Dad, you're going to be, you're coming up on 60. And I thought for a second, I'm like, crap, when my dad was my age, I thought he was old as dirt. I said, now I'm there. And I'm like, oh. So, yeah.
Great way to start. All right, let's get started, guys. Thanks again. We're at another Friday edition of the Storage Meetup. Love seeing the faces jumping on here. If you are on, if you can, turn your cameras on. It's always nice to see that rather than a black square. So if you're able to, cool. Turn your cameras on. Again, this session today, pretty free flowing. We'll start off at the top of the hour for 10 minutes, doing a little show and tell. I think today we got a security system that's going to showcase their services. And then right after that, I want to jump in on with Andreas to have a few minutes to talk about some tales with him visiting like 300 plus sites last year. So I thought that would be interesting. But again, very free flowing. Questions, comments, go ahead and put it in chat. I'll keep an eye on that. We'll try to make sure we address everybody during the course of this hour because it does fly by. So again, thank you for being here. Zane, if you're on, I'll hand it over to you. You got 10 minutes, buddy.
Absolutely. That's great because 10 minutes, I talk fast. I have few slides. So that's actually a perfect amount of time and I don't have to feel bad about talking fast.
Cool.
So let me go ahead and share here. Screen two and share sound. Is that working?
Yep, we can see it.
Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody's time and thank you for the invite, Jim. Like I said, I'll keep it short and sweet. So I do business development for Netwatch. I've been in the security industry for 17 years. And sorry, my computer is flickering right now. Is it still on?
Nope.
Thanks. Awesome.
It was working.
Yeah, I know. My video card blinks every now and again, usually at convenient times.
There you go.
And
if not, we'll come back.
just had to do it right at this time, huh?
There you go.
There we go. So I work for Net.
Nope. It's gone again.
Oh my. Oh, this is lovely. So is it sharing?
It's sharing, just not the right screen. There you go. Click on the.
Ah.
You're good. You were good.
I was good. Share screen two content. That's screen two.
Oh, it's because you have two screens. That's always a bitch. Never
Dude,
works.
I'd get three if I could. Okay, so I'm not sure why it's okay. It's telling me that that's screen two. This is my nightmare.
We'll come back to you later. It's fine.
No. There we go.
Ta-da.
Excellent. So at
Now
Netwatch,
you got 8 minutes.
we're a full service integrator, so we provide design and installation of intrusion alarms, video management systems, as well as electronic access control. So we do the consultation engineering. Like I said, we design and we service it. But what really sets us apart is we do what's called proactive video monitoring. About 20 years ago in Ireland, the foundation was Concept. The concept was founded in Ireland, and we brought it to the United States back in 2016. So effectively, rather than having a typical intrusion alarm system, we actually use the camera as a means of detection. There's two different kinds of alarms. Effectively, there is what you would call an intrusion alarm. Is there a person or a vehicle in an area where they're not supposed to be? If so, we dispatch we'll voice down. The technical term we use in the industry is yell at them, basically telling them, describing what they're doing. You in the orange truck, in the red hoodie, you're on private property, leave now, otherwise we'll dispatch the authorities. 98% of the time they leave, the other 2% of the time it usually results in an apprehension. The other alarm that we have is what's called a loiter alarm, meaning that something is in a field of view of a camera for longer than it's supposed to. And then based off of the camera protocols, we effectively voice down and say, move along, or this is closed, come back during regular business hours. It's more useful when you have shared spaces to where you don't have a bunch of false alarms for people walking by or vehicles driving by. A lot of applications for proactive video monitoring, vandalism, perimeter breaches, theft and damage, which I can imagine would probably be more up in the line as far as what y'all's industry is. Then, of course, break-ins. But like I said, effectively we use the camera as a detection method. It will detect a person as well as a vehicle. They say AI. It's a really sophisticated analytic that's been machine trained in order to get out as many false positives as possible. From there, once we do receive an alarm in our monitoring center in Lake Forest, California, we have a proactive video monitoring specialist or a video intervention specialist. They assess the threat and issue down audio warnings, and then we escalate to the authorities as needed.
The camera meeting?
So
Yeah,
I will. What's that?
Go ahead.
So it can really be summed up in a video that I'm going to play. It's only a minute and a half.
Cool.
Attention on site, this is secure area. All actions are being monitored, recorded by a live operator. Get off the site now or police will be dispatched.
Be advised to the individual that is walking around with the heavy-duty jacket, you need to leave the area immediately.
To the individuals on this property, you need to vacate this area immediately. You are trespassing.
Attention to the individual that jumped this fence on this property. You need to vacate the premises now.
Nice video. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, why do they even need to hire me? Because the video really tells the entire story. It's fairly straightforward. I feel bad sometimes. There's really not a whole lot of presenting other than the video because it's really straightforward. It works. All the customers that we have a very high customer retention rate, and it's a live person every single time. And what really differentiates us from our competition is the people that work for our organization. So with that, I'll take any questions.
That's cool. So just real quick, so it's like live monitoring then, or is it AI plus live monitoring? What's the?
It's so when we say live monitoring, it's not somebody sitting back and watching a camera. That's actually not a way that you can really, you'll see that in movies where somebody will be sitting back and watching a camera. After I think studies show that if you sit somebody behind a camera with, behind a screen with 9 monitors on it, they go blind after about 7 or 8 minutes, where they don't really start to see the changes. This is all event driven. So what happens is the camera can determine if there's something inside the picture. It knows, it's got what's called metadata. So it's like, okay, well, I see something changing in there. Does it fit this criteria? If it's a vehicle or a person, then it generates an alarm, sends it to a video intervention specialist. And then from there, there's a person doing the live monitoring and then doing the voice downs and assessing the scene. So it's not live in the fact that somebody's sitting back there. It's event driven live monitoring.
That's cool. Don't we talk about security all the time? And I got a few trouble sites that this could be useful. Yeah. Besides just your screenshot there on your, go ahead and put it in chat too, so people can want to reach out to you, get more information. That's awesome.
Zane, does it work with any camera system, or you gotta have a specific one, or what is the deal with the cameras?
I'm glad you asked. I was actually going to say that is that as long as it's not a proprietary brand like you would get from like a Costco or a Fry's Electronics. We work with 98% of the video manufacturers out there. We have a little, it's a network appliance. It's called looks like a Roku. And it's an analytics box. And from there, we can peel off what's called an RTSP stream from the camera, because cameras these days can stream to multiple different sources. And then we'll use that as the method. We can certainly install a full camera, do the design and do the installation of it. But we'll work with 98% of the camera manufacturers out there by just putting this box. And then from there, we can connect back to our monitoring center.
Nice, because my last organization, we use night owl cameras, and we were trying to find things that do with that. So yeah, cool. See, Jim, we got a hand out there from Heather.
And you can go ahead and stop sharing there, and then we can keep
You got
continuing
it.
to chat here.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Hi, I just wanted to know because right now, even as we speak, we have like 16 cameras that are offline, and this happens a lot. And it's a brand new facility, so we have it's a top of the line, but the people that work on our cameras are in another state. It's very hard to get them to come or to do anything. So, what is your service like when things go down?
We've got a network of subcontractor services across the United States, as well as 2 project managers for all of our project work. So we have a national presence. Effectively, you send an email over to a service at Netwatch, netwatchusa.com, and then we dispatch a technician, within the next, 72 hours.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so go put your contact information there in the chat, and any further questions and people want to get more in depth with you, they can reach out to you. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So
Thanks, man.
at this point, do I stay on, or y'all move on to other business and I get out of here?
Yep, we're gonna move on. If you want to, Kim, you can stay and hang out. You don't have to leave.
Yeah, you know what? I do have one question before you run off, Zane.
Absolutely.
First of all, love the video. That was absolutely fantastic. So please pass kudos to your marketing team on that for sure.
I will let Kimmy know. Thank
Very
you.
clear. Yeah. But I am curious, is the primary goal, and do you find that it is to be the case where they yell at them, as you said, like do they immediately run away, or do you find people are stubborn, like I've decided I'm going to rob you and I'm going to stay here until I hear sirens? Like what's the goal?
98% of the time, we say prevent. I'm legally trained in security. You do not use the word prevent. What it is a very high level of deterrence. 98% of the time they're going to leave, and somebody that is sticking around is somebody that's either not in their right mind, or they are what we would call a sophisticated adversary, and they're going to do whatever that's necessary in order to get to what they want. So most of the time, the number one fear of any thief is to be discovered. And so by describing to them what they look like, what they're doing, we have plenty of videos where you can tell there's no audio, but there will be a person going one way, and then there will be a person going the other way. Because as soon as they start getting yelled at, they're like, we should get out of here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is, what do they say about the bear? You don't have to be the fastest runner. You just can't be the slowest, right?
That's right. I don't need to be faster than everybody. I just need to be faster than you.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you.
I'm going to jump under, and before we get into other things, Andreas, you're on, right? There you are.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, man.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, I've been watching I'm always on LinkedIn, it feels like. I keep seeing your LinkedIn content and stuff like that. So first, kudos for doing the content on there. That's awesome.
No, I appreciate it.
But no, one that stood out, like a month ago, you did one about, last year I visited 300 properties, and this is kind of the synopsis of what I've been finding. So I was like, that'd be kind of interesting to hear it from your perspective. So that'd be great. If you don't mind, just introduce yourself a little bit and we'll go from there.
Yes. No, hi, everybody. Yeah. Again, my name is Andreas. I'm a self-storage broker at Marcus & Millichap. I've been with them for 3 years. I've owned and operated self-storage facilities as well. And just fell in love with the self-storage world, and especially with self-storage brokerage. And, here I am today. And going into last year of 2025, one of my goals was to, hit at least 300 sites. Most of them were, just surprise visits, and owners were not there. But from, I would say, about over 100 of the sites, I was able to really hear the positives and negatives from each individual owner. And one common trend that I had found going and visiting, especially I'm in the Northeast Mid-Atlantic region, so it's primarily focused in Northeast, so to speak. From what I've seen, is that a lot of single owner operators that have owned facilities for over 10, 15 years have kind of got relaxed and set in their ways, and most of them have not, they haven't even gotten a website. Online rentals I saw, and the majority of them. which really fascinated me because
Wait, hold on. Majority of the people that you talk to are still.
majority from the 100 owners that I've met. Again, these are single owner operators that have had their facility for at least 10 plus years. They do not have a website.
How does that conversation go? Do you call them out on it? Did your jaw hit the floor?
Yeah, that's the first thing. I mean, that's the first thing I always mention is just, to get their thoughts and preference of why they still don't have a website. And most of the time, 99% of the time, is that they say, well, we're 98% full or 100% occupied, and we're happy with that. And then, that goes into the other conversation of if you're 98 or 100% occupied, are you raising rates at all? And
No.
no, yeah, most of the time it's no. And and again, they're comfortable. Usually these properties are paid off, very little bit of debt on it. So they're very comfortable in what's going on. And most of the time what we find out is people do not like change. And again, when you've owned a property for 10, 15, 20 years, the normal motto is if it's not broken, why fix it? Right? But in today's world, I always emphasize to any owner operator, technology is the key forward. And the conversation I usually have with them is, don't you want to be proactive instead of reactive? Because eventually the market will change. That 98%, 100% occupancy will change. And usually it's not for the best. It's usually for the worst. So it's just really amazed me this past year how many people are just set in their ways. And again, there's no harm, no foul. I can't tell somebody if they're doing something right or wrong when they've been operating that facility for 20 plus years, let's say, and they're comfortable with that. But what I always like to introduce is some examples of scenarios of what if this happens, if competitors move in. And usually one competitor in a tertiary market can really ruin the saturation. And
it's not even new competitors. It's just when your surrounding competitors start leveling up their game.
Correct.
Just be worried about that.
No, I agree as well. That's so true. But yeah, it really, 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 intrigued me that there was many operators out there that were far behind the technology and against their competition, because their competition, and what I've noticed being an owner operator, the competition 10 years ago versus today's world, it's totally different and it's fierce. And when I say that is that you can't be relaxed. You can't wait a week or a month. You have to be daily involved in your business and understanding what your competitors are doing, your marketing. You have to be truly involved in your business, because if you're not and you're just letting it go and operate as it goes, eventually it will backfire on you.
So I'm just still amazed.
Andre, question for good, Jim.
I was gonna say I'm just that's why I wanted to have him on here, just because that's perspective. Because we're surrounded by. I mean, look at the room. Look who's here. We're surrounded by people that are in this. We breathe it and live it every day, and we're on these calls to run better operations. But hearing about how many people are still in the dark ages is just it's mind-boggling to me.
I'm salivating right now. Like I'm just like
Right?
drooling right now. Number one, I want to buy those facilities or just at least run them. That's insane.
Andre, how many of them actually were interested in what you had to say and were interested about learning more and about improving their property by maybe doing a website or even thinking, well, maybe it's time for me to sell? How many of them shifted from one way or a lot of them just say, you know what, we're good where we're at, we're happy where we're at, we're not changing?
I would say 50% of them told me that they're happy with what they have and they don't want to change anything because again, I know it's just an excuse that they're just comfortable with what they have, and again, they're set in their way. Not a problem at all. The other 50%, I would say 35% actually listened, took my advice, and as far as for just listening to what I had to say, Some, I would say, out of that 35%, very few took action into what I had to say. But I was happy for, let's say, 5-10% of the owners that I met. They did go get a website. They actually listened to me about some marketing tips. And I would say very few of them were interested in selling. So it usually goes that way, is that, out of 100 owners that you meet, maybe one or two would be thinking about selling, typically. So I think that what I've learned is that 50% that did not want to change, just like a seller, there has to be some type of change in their life, motivational change, whether business has dropped, occupancy, something in their business has to change for them, I think, to realize that they need to update their process systems in order for them to realize that they're behind. That's the unfortunate part. Most people like to learn the hard way, and they're reactive, not proactive. So that's what I've noticed.
So Andre, Derek put a comment in here. How many people do you run across with no true rent roll or no true software? And my part of the question was, when you pulled up on these 300 properties, how many of them looked like they were really, I don't want to say abandoned, but really no signage, no contact, nothing that you could even reach out to somebody?
All of them, the amazing thing was all of them had a phone number that you could reach out to.
That's good.
Okay. All of them had a phone number. Very few of them, again, answered the phone.
I was gonna say, but did they answer it?
Yeah, correct. Most of them did not answer the phone. So that was a big sign as well, that not answering the phone is, a big issue. But from those properties that I saw that did not answer the phone, they looked very high in occupancy. Very few, doors with no locks on it. So, again, it's just comfortability, and I think occupancy, they don't feel a squeeze or a change in their business, so it works for them.
You have to understand the owner's perspective, because I've talked to a lot of them.
Oh, of course.
They're making X number of dollars.
Yes.
And if it goes up by 5 or 10, they don't care. They probably are best friends with everybody who's been there. They never raise rents. They never have an auction. And that's
it
just
works for them.
It works for them.
Yeah, and again, there's no right or wrong way when you're 100% occupied. You've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years. There's nobody that can tell you what you should or shouldn't do. If it's working for you, it's working for you. And everybody's going to be different. So I totally understand and respect that. I totally get that.
I spoke with a client, a potential client who was thinking about getting call center services for the first time, because answering the phone, like, people don't think about it. It's not the first thing that they think about, but he was having to go out and get business for the first time in a very long time. He was a small facility that lost half of his revenue in one fell swoop when a hoarder that had been paying him for 20 years passed away. He lost half of his revenue from one person that had been paying on time, like clockwork, every year, and he, every month, and he was just happy. But when he lost that one tenant and realized, I can't get anybody else to move in here, that became a problem.
Well, I'd like to share a real world experience from my behalf on one of my facilities that I used to own. It was always occupied, 100% occupied. I never did marketing for that property. I was on Google, had my business Google page, but never had to spend $1 on, Google ads or any of that nature. And one year, it went from 100% occupancy to 90. And then a competitor came in, built 70,000 net rentable square feet. And the following year, my facility went to 60% occupancy.
Dang.
And that was because I was not proactive. Right. And it's just a shame. I always tell my experiences to other people. I mean, again, I'm not a guru. I only go through what I've gone through and my experiences. And I always try to tell people I never want them to go through what I ever went through. And that was one of the biggest mistakes, was not being proactive in this business, because things can change very rapidly. A year sounds like a long time, but really it's not.
Andre, I just had somebody I work with, and they same scenario, had it forever, and they had their manager who'd been with them for like 15 years decide they were going to retire, and they had no idea what they were going to do. So then they contemplated, well, do I sell? Do I hire somebody else? Do I go third party? What do I want to do? And we went through the process, and they really had no idea what the manager was doing. And they were just like so befuddled that they're like, where do I go? I'm sure you ran into that a lot too.
Oh yeah, I see that a lot. They have no idea. If they have a manager, they have no idea what they're doing. And then when I ask them, what does their rent roll look like? And what are delinquencies? What does the delinquencies look like? And they don't even know if their tenants are paying, how far behind are they? It just really, it amazes me. And that's really important. You have to be on top of that.
And just curious, when you're hitting these 300 sites last year, I'm just curious, would you like try to bulk a bunch in one day and just try to hit a bunch, or what was your
Yeah, so typically, and I'm following the same schedule, I'm out usually 7 to 10 days on the road each month.
Okay.
So what I do is, I spend a couple of days in a state, a region of a state, and I camp there, and I go out and I try to hit at least 10 to 15 sites a day.
No, that's great. I'm just thinking, again, people that are on this call, other people. So many times when, as vendors and we have our service agencies, all that kind of stuff, we're waiting for people to come to us to start their conversations. Just almost flip it. Not being a broker, but just as a service, going out and just knocking on the doors, walking in, introducing yourself and starting those conversations. I think it'd be amazing how much business people could pick up doing it. Kind of
I believe the old school way is the best way, because in today's day and world and age, especially in the broker industry, everybody's calling the same owner, and how do you separate yourself is to get in front of them and to be authentic and to really get to know who they are, and they can get to know you, and try to build that relationship in person. I think that's really valuable, and it works for any industry, whether brokerage, you're a plumber, in any industry, it works. And I think relationships is truly critical moving forward, because with AI, artificial intelligence, you get calls from AI bots. You don't know who you're really talking to sometimes. So again, being in person, that one-to-one interaction, I think is the step up of how you separate yourself.
Oh, no, you seriously motivated me. In fact, I wrote down 100. I'm not that ambitious for 300, but if I can hit 100 sites here locally, just walking in, introducing myself, just having those conversations, that would be amazing, rather than just look at my content. And kind of sometimes you're speaking into the void when you're posting content, but walking in and talking to somebody, that'd be very impactful. So,
and most owners, and I give kudos to most self-storage owners. Their stories I love. They're very interesting, how they started, how they got into it.
Yeah.
So kudos to all the self-storage owners. And that's why one of the things I love about this industry is that everybody has a great story of how they got into it. And it's a really unifying industry. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, Jim, how many of us as operators and vendors, I'll go randomly just walk into a storage facility. I want to see what they're doing, to see if they're doing something different we're not doing, to pick something up.
Yeah, makes sense.
Quick question for you, Andre. Out of the facilities you visited, 2 questions. You mentioned many of them had a phone number. How many of those were some sort of an automated that if you called it or texted, or it was a landline, right? I'm guessing a lot of these older people that have had facilities for 20 or 30 years still have landlines, especially if they're in the Northeast remote facilities. Yes. They're 25 units to 100 units. They're not a 30,000+ square foot facility. I'd be curious to see it, and then go from the standpoint of those that in the group here that do marketing, to reach out to those people and say, hey, you've got a landline from 30 years ago. You might want to step it up into the technology, because you're missing all this. Even though that might be something easy to change, because I know that many are. When we took over ours, same thing like you mentioned before, Jim. It was paper, pinpoint on the map, the 9-inch black and white TV. The manager was 85. The owner was 75, and the handyman was 75. And everything had to be done, and we had to build it just like you said, Jim. It took us a month just to go through the boxes of stuff to build it. How many of those out there can be turned to other smaller operators? A lot of new people in the business want to start small, can't do a 30,000+ square foot facility. It's just, yeah, interesting. Kudos for going to so many facilities. That's pretty cool.
No, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, and it's
Jim, there was a question for you, I think for you in the chat about marketing sessions. I know you from Diana about you to market. Where could I find a broadcast to look back on? All of ours are on YouTube now, right?
Yeah, it's all on YouTube.
On our channel.
I just replied to you as well, but it's all
Okay.
here. So, storagemeetup.com. You can watch past sessions here. They're all linked up with the moments. I've even done AI summaries of all of them, infographics. So they're all there. Can't search yet. that's the next phase, but that takes a while when you can like put in keywords and try to search it and find that exact moment. That takes some effort, but all the replays are all there for you. So it shouldn't be too hard to find.
Andre, thank you very much. I mean, we're all looking at, we all know they're out there. And that's the one thing I saw somebody, I don't know if you or somebody posted online, LinkedIn last week about maybe it's CJ Stroud that some people think the industry is so overpopulated and overgrown. And in certain markets, absolutely. If you go to Houston, Texas, or Miami, Florida, but you just proved that there's so many markets out there where there's a lot of viable things to buy and even have a store in the area that, storage is not dead and not done growing. I think we're going to continue that phase. Maybe not to the extent with some of the REITs, but the secondary, tertiary markets where a lot of us live and breathe and survive and strive, there's a lot out there for us.
Yeah. Question for you, Andreas, too, because you're doing this like literally on the ground. I have been hearing about like, are you literally just walking around or driving around and looking for sites? Because I hear of people who literally can't find a store on a Google search, right? Like they're not showing up on the maps, all the things. So are you just driving down the road looking for storage?
Yeah. So what I do is when I pick a certain territory, I map out the territory with what I see on Google, then in radius, and then from there, when I pass by a facility any facility, if I'm driving en route and I see it and it's not on my map, I stop by. I add it to my map. So yeah, anything that I drive by, I always stop in, and it never hurts. It never hurts.
How often is it the owner that's in there, or is there anybody there? Because I find a lot of times there's just nobody there either.
So from my cold calling, usually I know what owners are working in the office, which owners are not working in the office. So I tend to stop by definitely to the owners that I know that are in the office at a particular time. And then, the other ones, I would say 50% of the time, it's just, roulette. I'm taking a gamble if they're going to be there or not.
Yeah. At least write down the phone number that's on the door or something, huh?
Correct. Yep. And then usually what I do with my iPhone is if I put in the phone and it comes up blue to text message, I try to FaceTime them so they can kind of meet me in person if they're not there. So those are some of the tactics. And I take a picture of myself and send it to them and see if it goes through as a text, then I'll save it. But yeah, it really varies. It really varies if an owner is going to be there. Typically, if there's an office, I would say 65% of the time the owner's there.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Danielle, I saw you. You don't have to raise your hand. We're good here. If you're on, we were talking about, grassroots marketing and stuff like that. And I love anytime someone says grassroots marketing because
I'm old enough to understand the word grassroots.
No, seriously. I love it. So no, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Tell us how you're implementing it.
Honestly, I'm just like one of those people who just love to talk to people. Like I never shut up, right? So everywhere I go, I'm under the impression that I'm there to make friends, whether I'm meeting with real estate agents or whether I'm hosting an open house or whether I'm I just find ways to make business partners that work well or marry well with storage. And then I try to implement that on our team. We have like 70 some facilities, and every one of them has a manager. So then at least once a month, I host a class teaching people how to talk and how to do stuff and trying to encourage the team to do it. So it's not just me having to travel the country all the time, talk to everybody. Not that I don't love to talk, but I mean, grassroots is just door to door, making an impression, being a friend, and so that you're top of mind, right?
So you trying to get like your managers on the manager level to go out and
Yep.
talk?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We actually have part of our system is that we ask them to go out and do local marketing. Problem is prior to, and I don't want to say prior to me, but prior to we were just throwing them out into the wilderness, just go talk to people, and they had no education. And it's really a manager's forte is not talking to people. I mean, let's just be honest. If they're working in a storage facility and they're running a storage facility, they're great managers, but they're not necessarily salesmen, right? So I try to educate them and guide them on where to go. Like right now, we just did a class yesterday, and I put the focus on nothing but real estate, realtors, apartment complexes, because come tax season, what happens at tax season? Everybody starts moving. They've got money for down payments and, all of the stuff. So why wouldn't we want to be in front of realtors at this time so that when they're in their transition phase, they think of us? Does that make sense?
True. Rick, what's up?
Can I take that one?
Absolutely.
So in my previous employer, we had 150 stores under management around the country. I'll be honest with you, we've tried every single variant of grassroots marketing out there, and the return on investment is nil. I mean, we've done mailers, postcards, referrals, bought pizza, gift cards for every single thing under the sun, every single tracking number, QR code. One example, we had an owner who wanted to do this. We went out for 6 months, distributed 3,000 pieces of flyers. We were able to attribute one rental to that, and probably, I don't know how many man hours we got from it. The cost benefit ratio of having someone out of the office versus out and doing stuff is hard. Now, on the other side of things, I get where you're coming from, right? You're struggling for rentals. People are sitting in the office. They're just not doing stuff. So you want to have them do things. So I get that too. I understand both sides of the thing. So I guess at the end of the day, just kind of see if the juice is worth the squeeze.
And that makes a lot of sense. I get it 100%. I also have to take into consideration that like everything I do, I have to know how many units I have to rent to account for my time and effort. So there's a lot of tracking involved. There's a lot of spreadsheets and back office stuff, but I have yet to see no success. Now, there might not be huge success. Maybe I need just 3 rentals to cover my day out there or whatever. If I can prove that across the board that I've actually gained 3 rentals just to cover my expense, anything after that is pure profit for the company.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also realize, there's a reason why Extra Space, Public,
Yes.
Cube Smart, if it worked of all people and resources, I mean, they'd be staffing it for doing grassroots stuff. So while I'm not discouraging it, because I actually do think there is some merit to it, and I've done a lot of the stuff. As long as you're mindful and you see actual traction from it, and not just, we just spent
out there.
I spent, and there's always this thing. You're also brand building. You're also doing things. I've advertised on Waze before. I mean, it's super, super cheap, but it's brand building, right? It's that top of mind stuff.
Exactly.
So,
Top of mind stuff. And unfortunately, Free Up Storage, as much as I love this company, we don't have the marketing budget like some of these bigger companies do. So, and in a world of automation and, text and all of the online social media, all of that kind of stuff, we can put so much money into Google advertising and Facebook advertising and all of that stuff, but it's just we don't have that huge budget to make that. So we have to look outside the box sometimes. And the best part is I actually love it. It's so much fun for me. I hope they never get rid of it. If they ever take that away, I would be so sad because I love my job.
yeah.
So Rick,
Put your hand down,
sorry,
Shannon.
Dan. Sorry, I don't know where the hand
No one wants to
went.
hear from you.
Find
All you do is
it.
answer phones. Nobody wants to hear from you, Shannon, and your
I
cool
love you,
background.
Rick. Okay, so I'm gonna respond directly to you, my sweet friend Rick Beal. What I think I probably hear from you that things weren't working very well is when I hear a lot of grassroots things that don't work out, it's because they are what I would call a one and done. So if you go to one manager one time at one apartment complex, let's say, and you drop off cookies, the likelihood of you getting anything from that is very low. If you stop by that manager every third Thursday with cookies, you will. You absolutely will. And I think that is where the difference is between selling and marketing, because to me, marketing involves a relationship, right? When you walk in the door, I want them to know, Rick, you're here. Hi, right? Oh, yay, I was hoping it was cookie day today. Like that is the guy who is going to then give you business. Like you're going to hear from them. And to your comment about like, hey, if this was the way to do it, Extra would be doing it, Public would be doing it. Here's the thing. I'm really glad that they're not. Let them throw all their money at digital marketing. They are big, big, big piles of checks at all the digital stuff. But that means smaller operators, this is absolutely where you can shine. But I would caution anybody who's interested in doing that. It's a relationship. Create a relationship with those people around you, and you're going to do a much better thing than just spreading your cards out one time and then sitting back and waiting to find out how many rentals you got from that.
The woman is a genius. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Janelle, question for you. We talked about it last week or the week before. The Nextdoor app. Have you tried and had any success with that? Because some people are saying they have, and I was actually playing with it this week in my area, and I found actually yesterday a local property did an advertising on Yelp on the app. So have you done any of that? And for Free Up, have you done anything with Nextdoor or Facebook marketing or Yelp marketing or any of that stuff to try to differentiate yourself?
We do a lot on Nextdoor. We do. It's not overwhelming. Like honestly, it's probably, and I don't ever want to speak poor of the company I work for, but I feel like that it's a division that we do need a little bit of growth with, expanding in that market a little bit. But we do some in Nextdoor, and honestly, I do a lot on a personal level on Nextdoor, and we get more responses when I post personally, and I join all of the groups for all of the Nextdoor things, just like Facebook. If we have a facility in Houston, I'm joining every group in Houston. If we have a facility over in Georgia, I'm Macon, Georgia, we have one there. I'm joining every group that I can find in Macon, Georgia that'll let me be in there, and I make it a personal thing. I get more responses that way than what we get through actually like paid advertisements for that facility through Facebook, Nextdoor, or whatever. It's just I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know how that works exactly. I don't know the back end of what that part of our company is doing, if it's something they're doing wrong or if it's just because I'm doing right. I have no idea.
Danielle?
Yes.
A quick question for you. When you say that you're joining groups that are in the area personally, meaning you as Danielle or
Yes.
you as okay.
Not as Free Up. I join as myself, join the groups, and then I start, just kind of sharing and talking. Obviously, a lot of those groups don't want you to join and promote your business, right? So then it becomes how can I help you? The question you should always be asking when you're grassroots marketing is tell me about your business and then figure out how you can solve any problems they might have. For realtors, their transition phase, changing in closing dates, all of a sudden they've got a that's where I can throw in a solution. So then my questions and stuff and the way I tackle things through social media is I start asking questions. And sometimes I don't put a post up. Sometimes I'm just reading the comments and I'm just asking these people how I can help them. And I get more response that way than we get in paid click advertising. We just do.
Derek, I saw you had your hand up.
Thanks.
Yeah, I took it down. Donnell kind of already touched on it, but I was just going to say I think part of it is, if she puts her name on there, just like I might put my name on there, if you don't have your company affiliated or tied to it, the sales resistance or the marketing resistance for somebody viewing it is going to be a lot less. She's making it a personal thing. And so if she's going on there and saying, hey, this is our facility, we pride ourselves on that customer facing interaction, and people see that. They see it as, like she said, more of a personal level rather than she's on there, spamming. Or I think the big one in my community seems to be air duct cleaning. I get about 100 posts a day for air duct cleaning, and I'm like, gosh, I hate that. But her posts are always going to be approved, and like Sherry mentioned, or like Sherry asked, if you're posting in those groups, you'll get great feedback.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I saw Andrew Caprano hopped on here. Andrew, what are you guys doing at 10 Federal? Because you have a lot of remote stores, so you don't have a lot of managers out there doing the grassroots stuff. So how is 10 Federal combating all of this grassroots marketing, for lack of a better word? Sorry to throw you on the spot, Andrew, but you're here, so.
Hey, if you're on here, you're under the gun to get called on. That's how it works.
Hey, this is my lunchtime, by the way.
Your audio is funky. Can't hear you. Oh.
No sound, Andrew.
Ain't gonna work. This mic's messed.
Sorry.
Try one more time. We'll see. He'll come back.
Jim, I did want to share real quick. I did put it in the chat. We're doing SBA. We're doing a self-storage unlock this week with the one and only Tron. So I shared in there. There's a QR code. If anyone hops on, it's a free. And he's got a really interesting topic. If it looks good on paper, about avoiding the most common pitfalls in self-storage. So Tron's been around longer than most of us, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. So it should be really interesting to talk to Tron this coming week. So if anybody wants to join us on the 29th, in the chat, there is a QR code that you can scan to register for it.
Got the coolest name in self-storage. I mean, come on, that's made up.
He was my very first training session in self-storage when I started to manage the call center for A1. I went to his session probably a week after I started.
I'm going to throw it up real quick. If anyone wants to do it quickly, scan the QR code. I'll leave it up for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Andrew, you got your mic working?
Jim, I think that picture's a little old.
Of Tron? I think so. Well, he's always in Hawaii, so I don't know. So, but again, anybody interested, reach out, whatever, but it should be a really cool session this coming week.
Definitely will be there. Just as we were talking, I was just thinking, kind of dovetailing Andreas, visiting the sites and, walking in and just introducing yourself with the grassroots marketing and trying to get rentals. Of these sites in your market, I'm just thinking about like a local 3-5 mile market. Man, if you could just get a couple of these old school guys that haven't raised rates, they're full, of being able to get a competition alliance set up, of just walking in and talking with them like in a competition alliance of, hey, you're full. No one's going to go on a wait list forever. Send them to me. I'll give you a kickback.
We did it.
Yeah, see? But it probably only works if you're walking in and shaking hands and getting that relationship. So.
Well, you also have to ask what works for them. How would they like to be taken care of? Some people want cash. Some people want gift cards. Some people want whatever. So figuring out what works in that market is key too. Because, some people only give out, like I know at one company I talked to, they were doing even for referrals, but they would only give discounts on future rent. Well, if the person moved out, they're not there no more. So I always said, give them cash. willing to pay. You know, I think at one point we're $50 a lead, cash.
Yeah, I text Amazon gift cards. That way I have some sort of a paper trail.
Yeah,
that's worked out well. Andrew, want to try one more time? See if you're.
Are you able to hear me or no?
Yep,
there you go.
Very good.
Okay. I've got like different mic settings for different platforms. Sorry about that. Remind me your question now that I have spent 10 minutes.
10 federal, a lot of remotely run stores. How are you guys handling, if all, do you do any grassroots marketing in some of your markets you're in?
You know, we do a mix of some third parties, and some of our third parties have wanted to test some things. I'll say generally my thought on storage demand is it's a commodity based product, right? Like you can't manufacture demand for self-storage, right? It exists or it doesn't. Like you can't go lower interest rates on houses and get more demand for your products. So what you need to do is you need to capture the demand that's already out there, and you need to show up more for when people are searching for demand or for your product, right? I give the example of like you go show my wife an ad for a purse, and all of a sudden, you know, it keeps showing up on her timeline and Facebook and whatever. And all of a sudden she wants to go out and buy that purse. Well, that doesn't work for self-storage, right? You either need the product or you don't. And when people need to search for the product, you want to be the one that shows up. So there's a lot of things that you can do to fill your day to make yourself busy with marketing. But I would just advise on like figuring out the things that have a better return. Not saying that they have zero returns, like there's garage sales, sorts of fun stuff that you and keep yourself busy, but doesn't necessarily yield positive ROI when you think of like the human capital component that takes to put those things together.
So it goes back to Shannon's comment about answer your phone.
Answer the phone. You don't have to create demand. You just have to be there when somebody has one.
And we got
Andrew. You're always a wealth. I always love chatting with you. You're always a wealth of knowledge.
Well, thanks for posting this on LinkedIn. I saw it on LinkedIn. I was like, you know what? I'm eating my lunch. I'm going to listen, but now I can't eat my lunch because I have to listen.
Well, you're welcome. We do it every Friday, so join us, man. It's awesome.
Can I mention?
We got 5 minutes left, guys. So I'll just let you know we got 5 minutes.
I don't know if how do I get?
Go ahead, Paul. What do you got?
Oh, okay. The best return on investment on marketing that I found was the chip clips. You don't get a lot of business off of them, but the return that you get is so, I mean, it's not even a 75-cent item or something like that, but you get like $1,000 worth of income off of it.
What?
Where do you give them out, Paul?
Huh?
Where do you give them out so that people have your name and number?
Well, our managers would give them out themselves when they were calling on people and stuff like that. And then we'd get some people extra ones and say, you know, our renters, we'd get some of them to them and say, by the way, you want to give one of these to your friends, and they'll be glad to do it. You know, because everybody loves chip clips. You know, we never have enough.
Oh,
that's funny.
Chip clips. I was like, what? Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? The little clip that you put on top of.
Yeah. It took me a second. I'm slow.
Yeah, but like I said, for 75 cents, you get about $1,000 worth of rent. So it's the best return as far as a single investment, and they're dirt cheap, you know.
Paul, we were talking about the conferences coming up and the tchotchke giveaways at the booth, and I'm like, 90% of that stuff winds up in the trash can. I'm like, I'm not doing it. We're not.
Get a nickel from somebody.
Just give them a nickel. Is that what you said?
I'm getting an echo, is what I said.
I'm sorry. That would actually be funny.
That was funnier. I'm not that funny.
For Halloween, he gave out change instead of candy, and you would and I mean, literally, it was just a little bit. It wasn't a lot of money, but he handed out change, and you would have thought those kids like won the lotto. They were screaming on their way back.
Well, who saw White Label's
money?
Who saw White Label's email blast this week about giving their 2 cents about something?
I loved that. It was awesome.
That was ingenious.
Yep.
It really was good marketing. Kudos to them.
Yep. Yeah, that was too good not to share.
I shared it too, Corey.
Yeah, this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's glorious. Great job, guys. Anybody on here from White Label?
Get your attention. We're all talking about it. Get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's.
I wonder how many clicks they got from that. I'd love to know. I have the contact down there. I'm going to reach out to Peter and see how many clicks they got.
Don't know, but yeah, kudos for their marketing team. That was awesome. I got sent that from a few people actually. Like, you get this? No, they're all out for their marketing. That's for sure. I mean, just think of their name and all the different ways they're putting it out there, what they're sponsoring, how they're the text and all that kind of stuff. They're definitely out there for sure. They're not hiding. Couple more minutes left. Anybody last minute things you want to promote, chat? Besides on your gym, you got your webinars coming up.
Yeah.
Think we're
Who's
good?
going to be in Florida in February?
Are you there?
I don't miss a chance to go to Florida in the winter.
I know.
Right?
Tell them what we're doing, Andrew. Tell them the news.
Yeah, we're doing like a panel, right, Jessica?
Yeah.
I already marked that one on my list as a must-see panel. So,
yay! Thanks, Jim.
Corey is speaking this time too.
Yeah.
Everybody, yeah, if you have your time, if you want to put it out there.
yeah, I'm
Put
speaking as
maybe
well
we'll
too
put
with
the
Dan
link for the
Cooper,
whole
so
deal. Yeah.
maybe we should have our storage meetups group down there, and we'll all hop on in Florida because we're there that Friday.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. That would be fun.
That'd be fun.
There's no one from like public storage on here, right? I can show something. You gotta watch this. I'm always on YouTube. I'm just looking at self-storage news, and half the time it's fires, which is scary. But you gotta watch this. It's a couple minutes long.
New tonight at 5, no access to their storage units. Customers upset after they say they were locked out of their storage facility for days.
So they reached out to troubleshooter Diane Wilson for help. Diane, this sounds like a pretty frustrating ordeal.
You bet, because some of these customers, they needed immediate access to their storage units, but they couldn't get it despite showing up for several days. These customers said the doors were locked and the gate to drive into the storage units was not moving.
You can see the truck filled with boxes and her home still filled with lots of things.
I need to be out of my house by this weekend, and I don't have any place to store my items. I mean, I have half my items in the storage already, but I need to put the other half in there.
Despite renting a storage unit at this Chapel Hill Public Storage on Marvin Edwards Lane, Robbie Broadway says she wasn't able to access it for several days last week before her move.
I came here to unload more stuff into the storage unit, and there was no power, no employees here, no note, no nothing. We just could not access anything, couldn't go through the drive-through gate.
Robbie says she called the customer service line for Public Storage and was told someone would get back to her.
There's no communication. I've left maybe 9 voicemails. I sent an email, and still no one from Public has responded back to me on any of it.
And Robbie isn't alone, as I met other customers who faced the same issue. We met Robbie at the Public Storage last Thursday afternoon. Some of the lights were on, but the gate to drive through so customers could get to their storage units still not working. Instead, just a front door and this side gate open on the fence.
I have a truckload of stuff, huge boxes to go into storage, and it's just impossible. I can't carry them through there. I need to be able, I rented purposely the outside unit so I could back the truck up to the unit to make unloading and loading a lot easier on me.
An employee on site told me on Sunday or Monday of last week, the electrical unit at the storage facility was fried and customer service was supposed to call customers to let them know. He said crews were working on getting the gate access working again. I also called customer service for more answers as to when everything would get fixed and was told they would have the district manager get in touch with me within 24 to 48 hours, but it hasn't happened. Meanwhile, a few hours later, Robbie got the call. She can now get access through the drive-through gate. She was able to drive her truck right to her storage unit and get everything from her house moved to her storage unit.
Success for Robbie right before Christmas. Now, when
Isn't that nuts? Getting blasted on news like that. But
yeah,
you think it's, you think of that sometimes it's a small little operators doing that, but
putting somebody on blast like that is harsh. I'm not going to lie. If your electrical panel is fried, although still say they should have answered the phone.
That's why I brought it up, actually. It was the
Yes,
communication
and
factor.
they should have put a sign on the door. Guys, the electrical panel is fried. We got people coming. We're so sorry. We'll let you know when it's up and running. Something.
Yeah. That's exactly why I
Communication.
showed it. Was just for communicate. Crap happens. It happens to all of us for science, but communicate it. So that's the way it goes. Oh, okay. It's been an hour. We gotta do the selfie, if you don't mind. If you're on here real quick, we'll do our Zoom selfie. Turn your cameras on. We'll do it at a count of 3. Gotta do it a couple times because we've got enough people on here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Cool. Thank you. All right. That was a fun hour, guys. I really appreciate everyone that's on here. We've got a lot of different perspectives and stories and all that. It was great. So we do it every Friday. If you enjoyed it, cool. Tell someone else.
Thanks,
And
Jim.
I would
Everybody
love-
be safe from the snow this week in the Northeast because we're going to get some. So,
And I would love to get, as a personal call, get some more managers on here. Serious. Running some locations. Let's get some more managers. I see a few on there. What's up, Eddie?
Yep.
But that would be awesome. So I appreciate it. Everyone stay safe. The winter storm's coming.
guys, thanks.
So take care.
Guys,
Have a good one,
take care. Always great chatting with everyone.